Heyo, it's Patty. How we doing, guys? So, it's the night before Heresy drops. Should be dropping in about 10 hours from now. And I just got done running solo Birthplace of the Vile GM with this build, so I just kind of wanted to make a video showing it off because it has become my absolute favorite build in the game. And I say build including the loadout as well. I really want to touch on every aspect in here because it does kind of incorporate everything. I don't know about anybody else. It somewhat bothers me when there's build videos out there that don't actually talk about the ideal loadout to go along with it. I think the aspects and fragments as well as the actual weapons should ideally be working in tandem, and I believe that's kind of what I've cooked up here. So I'll talk about the build and then I'll show you the solo GM run. So we're on Mask of Fealty, pretty standard setup here, aspects and fragments wise. So some of these are flex slots depending on what you prefer. Obviously Withering Blade is not a flex slot, neither is Gambler's Dodge. These are going to be the two aspects that I really recommend running with here. So I would say Stylish Executioner is an absolute must-have, simply because of Tanash's Mastery having come out. This weapon, if you haven't gotten your hands on a chill clip one of these, I mean, you need to get on that. This thing's so good. This thing is maybe my, I mean, well, I'll tell you this. This loadout is my new favorite loadout in the game. I'll say that. And along with this whole setup with Mask of Fealty, it's cooking. So Tina, it'll proc Stylish Executioner with every chill clip shot. So we've got a magazine of 12 with a backup mag. So that gives us a total of 7 shots that can apply slow. That means the top 7 shots of your magazine, they're all going to be proccing Stylish here. So that's it's pretty much on demand invis. It's amazing. So I experimented with the second aspect. I really like Gunpowder Gamble. Like I don't know, it's just fun. But after some trial and error, Winter's Shroud just really is going to work better here. Simply because we want to get this, we want to get our withering blades back as fast as possible, and that means getting our Gambler's Dodge as fast as possible. So Winter's Shroud, I mean, dodging slows nearby targets. That's decent. That's nice, and it gives some DR as well. But the main keywords here are going to be slowing targets, increases your class ability regen. And so we can do that off of the Winter Shroud itself, off of dodging itself, off of our Withering Blades, and off of Tina. So all really good opportunities to get our class ability back. So our uptime on these Withering Blades is insane. We have high uptime on the class ability. And then the Withering Blades themselves, they're refunding themselves off the back of Mask of Fealty. So taking a little detour here for a second, Mask of Fealty, it kind of took me a while to figure this one out. It took a little trial and error with this exotic. When it first dropped, when I first got my hands on it, I wasn't even, I think it took Tina coming out for me to really start to appreciate this exotic. So Withering Blade hits and bounces, create a small stasis crystal. That's nice. Actually, that is a pretty key part of it. So, Dado, I believe, put out a video talking about like this exotic. It kind of is unintuitive because you're having to use the Withering Blades on crystals and frozen targets in order to get the most out of them. I would say this particular part of it, the shattering crystals and frozen targets to release more Withering Blades, that's just a nice side effect. That's not the main benefit of this exotic. The main benefits are going to be the fact that we're getting a portion of melee energy back off of Withering Blade hits and bounces. So that means we can throw a blade and then get an instant, almost full refund. That's really big. And then hits and bounces also create a small stasis crystal. So what this ends up doing is, say with an unstop, you throw a shuriken at the unstop. The shuriken itself freezes it or slows it, right? But then it's also creating a small stasis crystal nearby, which is also applying slow. So the end result is one Withering Blade can freeze anything instantly. Just so it throws, the blade slows, and then the crystal, which is created, also slows, and that accumulates enough stacks to proc a freeze. And we're getting them constantly. These Withering Blades are doing quite a lot for us. So Ad Clear is going to be one. And then Champ Stunning. So obviously they apply slow, and then we just talked about how they apply freeze. So that's overload and unstops right there. Facet of Dawn, that's making us radiant. So that's all 3 champions. And that's... You'll also notice that that's completely agnostic of the artifact. This is not depending on the artifact at all. So this build can deal with all 3 champions pretty much until they change anything about this exotic. This is completely not dependent on the artifact, which is awesome. So I'll run through the rest of the fragments here. Protection, Purpose, and then we already talked about Dawn. These 3, I mean, I keep that thing on me. I keep these 3. These are locked and loaded, like ready on pretty much any prismatic build that I'm making. I don't think I need to say any more. These 3 are so fucking good. I like Tether here. Yeah. So the super is a bit of a flex slot, just depending on the activity, depending on what you prefer. The grenade's also a flex slot. If you like grapple, throw that in there. If you like Duskfield, I like magnetic just because of the tracking. I tend to miss stuff a lot, so the tracking definitely helps. And then if I'm gonna run magnetic, I like running dominance along with it. But yeah, the grenade and then this fragment are going to be a flex slot. And then Facet of Devotion. So this is helping to get Transcendence back very fast. So we're slowing and freezing stuff a lot, both with our blades and with Tina. So that's just bonus light Transcendence at the same time as applying Dark Transcendence. You'll see in the gameplay footage, I'm getting Transcendence really fast. I'm not sure how much legwork this is doing. I want to actually experiment with Facet of Command here instead, because you'll see here in a second. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about it. So Facet of Command could potentially help, because I'll just go into the loadout here. We talked about how good Tina is. Tina's doing a couple things for us. It's getting us invis. It's getting our dodge back by slowing things. VS Velocity Baton. I mean, what can we say about this weapon that hasn't been said, right? Like this thing is amazing. You'll see here that it is a big source of healing for us just off the back of the orbs that it's making. It's getting us light Transcendence energy very, very fast. It's ad clear. The ammo economy on this thing is insane. On both of these, really. And then Anarchy is going to be our last one. But anyway, so I was lucky enough to get demo attrition orbs pretty early on. So you'll see what I do a lot is I'll shoot this to cut off an area, or clear out a group or whatever, and then immediately toss a nade to reload it. The reason I'm considering faceted command here instead of devotion is I could kind of do that trick, that shoot velocity baton and then reload with the shurikens as well. So it would be shoot this and then freeze something with the shurikens, and then it would get reloaded as well. I'm thinking I'm gonna play around with that, but I just want to talk about the exact setup that I had when I ran this GM. And then Anarchy. Anarchy is very, very good here. I am a fairly new convert to Anarchy. I only just got it this past season episode, and this thing, I'm in love. I love this thing so much. So, this episode, it's actually stunning unstops pretty easily. You just stick them, and then if you're running kinetic impacts, you can stun unstops. You get the maximum damage out of it just off the back of 2 shots, so it's also very ammo efficient. And you can stun barriers if you do if you proc Radiant, if you just hit them with a melee and then hit them with Anarchy. As soon as the barrier shield goes up, if Anarchy is still ticking, it'll take down the shield. It's great, very good. Yeah. By the way, I completely forgot to. I was running I was running some content that I needed art compounding for earlier, and I forgot to switch it back to kinetic impacts, and I didn't even notice. You'll see that this build has so many ways of stunning all the champions that I didn't even notice. So could have been even better. So yeah, and then I talked about Mask of Fealty, why that's good. The mod setup, hopefully you know enough about build crafting at this point to understand why I set everything up here the way I did, but I'll call out a couple of the biggest ones. So Void and Stasis Siphon, just get it, as well as heavy-handed and firepower. So when you see the end screen for how many orbs I created, I mean, I'll just say I created more orbs than I got kills in this particular run. Between VS velocity and then the siphons and then heavy-handed and firepower, I mean, I was just printing orbs. Void loader to make the grenade launcher a little snappier. And then I almost never take off this setup on my class item: Special Finisher, Reaper, and Powerful Attraction. So yeah, so that's the build, that's the setup. Like I said, there's not much in here that depends on the artifact, and so this will be good going into next season as well. Next season we're gonna have sidearms on the artifact, so this will always be overcharged. Rocket sidearms are getting a nerf. It's gonna be about a 15% damage nerf overall, but this Tina will always be overcharged, so that kind of offsets it a little bit. In this particular run, Tina was overcharged and the nerf hadn't happened yet, but I've run Tina in GMs without the overcharge, and it felt fine. What I'm trying to say is, as long as it's overcharged, it shouldn't be too big of an issue, the rocket sidearm nerf. And yeah, also I know that all 3 of these are somewhat harder to get weapons, but I will say, I think it's worth it. I think they're worth it. These 3 work really well together. I use them in a couple other builds as well. But anyway, I'll let the gameplay play out, and I'll see everybody on the other side of Heresy dropping. All right, later.
Hey there, Brent. Looks like those scorned meatheads are thriving again in that old order factory. Any chance you has been dealt with the most.